All right, so Alabama has a new wide receiver target. What do we think of him?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. Want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen every single day. So, Jimmy, one thing that you and I love to discuss is wide receiver recruiting because it's one of the sexier. I mean, like quarterback is in its own category, right? We did on my Sports Split show last night. The co-host came up with we were doing, summer silly stuff, and it was like best 80s action movies. And we said, you can't put Die Hard in there because that would clearly win. Die Hard would beat them all. Rambo, Commando, Aliens, all of them, right? But so you take that out. So in this case, you take quarterback recruiting out of the, hey, what's the sexiest position group to talk about when recruiting? I think wide receiver may be it. It's the coolest. They're generally the most flamboyant. And you and I have been talking about it a lot. And we've been talking about the kid at Spain Park who we liked a lot, but he ultimately committed to Ole Miss. And we certainly have been talking about C.D. Morgan right here at Benjamin Russell High School in Alexander City, and Booby Feaster out of Texas. But now there's Ryan Mosley out of Georgia. Now, I like this kid a lot. He's been associated with some other teams more so than Alabama the last few months. But it seems like Alabama may be making a push here.
Yep. Seems like Alabama's sort of with Ryan Mosley hanging around. You could wake up and find out that you're the favorite. I think the thing with Alabama is in this particular class, they're going to want two wide receivers. It's not a year where they're going to sign multiple receivers. Why is that? Because they love what's on the roster. They don't, there's 10 on scholarship now on the roster. They love them all. They don't want anyone to leave. So they're going to fight to keep all of them. And very few of them are out of eligibility. I think Jeremy Bernard is off the top of my head. Germ's the only one that they could lose here. Isaiah Horton, the Miami transfer, he's a junior. Now he's draft eligible, but he could return. And then you got the Cole Adams, Jalen Hale, Jalen Mbakwe, all those guys. You got Latzia Brooks, who's going to play as a freshman for almost certain. Derek Meadows, they're how so they feel like they're really good at receiver. I think they only take two, and it comes as a surprise to no one that listens to the show and follows the program every day. The plum at wide receiver, the guy that they really, really, really want, and they have a great shot at him is C.D. Morgan from Benjamin Russell there in Luke's backyard. C.D. is the one they want the most. I think they probably lead for him and are likely to land him, but when a player is that highly recruited in this NIL landscape, you can't be too certain of anything. But I would project C.D. to pick Alabama. Now, so then you only want one more receiver. There's a lot of guys out there that they're highly interested in. But I agree with Luke that Ryan Mosley may be just as likely to end up as that second receiver as anyone else. I know Booby Feaster is a guy they would love to have. I don't think he's going to be very easy to land. He is extremely highly sought after. I think about a month ago it was like, hey, I think Booby's going to LSU. Now it seems that A&M has a lot of momentum there. What does LSU and A&M have in common right now, Luke? They're sort of known as big spenders, with this group. And hey, I can't stress this enough. We've said it several times on the show. If it ever comes down to who's the biggest bidder, it's not going to be Alabama for any number of reasons. Now, there's exceptions to every rule, right? I think Alabama is going to be a significant bidder for C.D. Morgan. I mean, that's just somebody they really, really want, because, in part because he's an in-state local guy that happens to be elite. Booby Feaster is a guy that would love to be wide receiver too. I'm with you, Luke. Today, between the two of them, I would say today there's a better chance Ryan Mosley ends up with that. And by calling him number two receiver spot, that doesn't do him justice as to how good he is. He'd be a number one receiver for virtually anyone else that doesn't have a CD Morgan, on the group. So we'll see. He's definitely one to watch. His official visits are coming up, man. This upcoming weekend, the 3 days from now weekend, we're recording this on a Wednesday. That's the last weekend where there's no official visits. The official visits start the next weekend, and they're going to be splashy. Luke started the whole show out talking about movies. It's a red carpet for who's visiting even that opening weekend. Yep. Mute.
Yep, I'm muted.
You're in a mute slump.
And you know what's even dumber? I said, am I muted? As if I were muted, you would be able to respond. Okay. The thing I like about Mosley, a few things. First of all, he's going to announce this summer. At least that's his plan right now. He hadn't set a date. He said he's going to take his visits. And I know his visits include South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Nebraska. Of course, he's got the Alabama visit too. And then he plans on announcing after that. I like getting him in the boat potentially and getting CD Morgan in the boat July 2nd. Be done with wide receivers unless somebody really pops up on the scene that loves Alabama, like a Josh Jacobs running back situation where they weren't going to take any more running backs. We saw Josh Jacobs said, we got to have Josh Jacobs at all costs. And that worked out. And the other thing I like about him, he plays at Carrollton, Georgia, which is a powerhouse football program. He was catching passes from Juju Lewis, who is now very famously at Colorado and is a big-time quarterback prospect. And so he's already kind of acclimated. I mean, when you go to Carrollton, when you go to IMG, when you go to Thompson or Central Phoenix City or Hoover, you got a leg up on everybody. Yeah. You've already sort of done. It's like going to junior college for a little bit before you come to college. You know what I mean? It's like a step above high school.
It can't be. It used to be this way. I mean, gosh, back in the 80s, if you played at a big time, back then it was, I think it went up to 5A or 6A or something back then. But if you played at the biggest schools and you came to Alabama, you weren't lost. But there's literally kids that came from some schools, particularly in state, where they were drawing up plays in the dirt on the sidelines. It was a heck of a acclimation process for those guys. You're right, Ryan Mosley coming from Carrollton, he won't be freaked out by a big part of it isn't just the terminology and playing in a sophisticated offense and defense. It's practicing against elite players. I mean, so many of these kids that come from small schools, they don't practice against anyone that's going to play even remotely in the same league they are once school's over. But you play at Carrollton, you're practicing against players that make you better. And that's what a big adjustment is at Alabama when those guys step on the practice field for the first time. And they're not only practicing against guys that make play better, some of them look around and go, I don't know that I'm good enough to be here. That's a common thing with the freshmen. They have to be almost convinced you are good enough to be here. It's just going to take some time. You can't just step on the field with Damani Jackson and get open.
All right, who is Jimmy Stein's number 71 on his world famous roster ranking countdown? Why don't you take a stab at it, and then we'll let you know if you're right when we come back. But as it stands right now, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel because you know how much we love FanDuel over here at Locked On Bama. And if I can ever find the little thing that goes underneath it, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to tell you about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. There was a good one last night, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with live in-game stuff. With player props and performance trends and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big because FanDuel makes it easy for you. Look, new to FanDuel, you might be, but you probably aren't if you've been listening to us. But if you are new, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if that wins, you get 200 smacks in bonus bets. Can you believe that? $5 bet wins and you get 200 back. That's just giving money away. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. If you tried to play the Who's Jimmy's Got Next on his roster ranking countdown game and you said Ryan Williams, you missed.
You missed by
it is not Ryan Williams.
Yeah, I don't want to be a spoiler alert there. It's where Ryan is on the countdown, but it's not down here in the 70s. This would have been, it's harder to guess down here when you're at the bottom end. As we know, yesterday we started talking about, hey, now we're talking about guys that aren't freshmen who we're projecting to redshirt. But we're still talking about guys that we might not see a whole lot when you're talking about number 71. And today's number 71 is defensive tackle Isaia Faga. We talked about him last week on the pronunciation show.
Well, I thought it was. There's no N in there. Like I thought there was an N that you said in there. No, there's not.
Isaia Faga.
So Faga is just like what we thought it was. Yeah, and at one time we thought it was Fanga.
Yeah, one time, yeah, because the N thing that we often see with the players from the Polynesian pronunciations. But no, it's Isaia Faga.
Yeah, they like to do. They don't do silent letters. They do loud letters that are invisible. But go ahead.
The first time I actually asked a coach on the team how to pronounce Tua's name. There's a coach on the staff when when the Tua thing was going on, and I'm like, the quarterback from Hawaii. How do you say his name? And this is his answer. I have no idea.
Well, is there? And look, we'll get right back to Isaia Faga. But is there anything better? I still get chills when they play the 2nd and 26 replay, and the Georgia play-by-play guy goes, Tua, oh, we'll just call him tongue-tied. All right, he drops back. Oh, my God, it's a touchdown. If there's ever been a karmic moment, that was it.
Well, Faga, first of all, very excited to have him. He just finished his redshirt season, so this is a redshirt freshman year. We got to remember, hasn't made a lot of noise yet. Should we be disappointed? Should we be surprised? No, and no. This is just a young lineman. Sometimes it takes a while in the incubator for these guys, especially at that position. When you're talking about 18, 19-year-olds that show up, and now you're matched up with not only older kids, older 300-pound kids that have been in the strength and conditioning program for multiple years. He played at a fantastic high school. I don't think this is an acclimation thing because Isaia came from Central Phoenix City. That's probably the best program in the state of Alabama right now, certainly in the top 2 or 3. So he showed up acclimated. I don't think Alabama is too much for him. It's still a developmental position, and he's learning how to defeat the blocks of massive human beings. Isaia, a little undersized. We knew that coming in. He wasn't the biggest guy in the world to be a defensive tackle in the SEC. I think with him, it's just learning how to get off blocks. I mean, you got to think about who's he going up against in practice. Cam Dewberry, Geno Vandermark, Jaden Roberts. How big is Jaden Roberts to a guy that's just out of high school and now, hey, here's who you have to beat in practice. This guy who's a Coke machine with feet. I mean, so Faga he's developing. I'm still excited about what he might be. I think with linemen, a reasonable expectation for your standard SEC lineman is year 3. We're still a whole year away from that. So will we see Faga this year? I think we will see him this year. Didn't see him really hardly at all last season. We'll see him some this season and probably end of game type situations. I would still project Faga to be a guy that's in the rotation, but probably more like 2026 than this fall.
Yeah, I'm excited about his potential. And look, I don't know if this is stereotyping, but if it is, it's in a good way. If you were a defensive lineman of Samoan descent, then I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll take a shot. I mean, it's like back in the 80s, early 90s, if somebody said, I'm a cousin of Kerry and Clyde and Chris Good, I'd say, okay, I want to sign you to play football. And they'd be like, well, I'm only 7. And, okay, I don't care. I'm sure you're really good. I'll take a chance.
Or virtually anyone from Town Creek back then.
Yeah. The Goods were something else. I mean, and they,
Yeah.
and Langham was from that family tree.
Sure.
And I'd be like, yeah, I'll take a shot. Let's see what happens. If it's sort of like LeBron James kids. I mean, yeah, maybe the Lakers draft him a little high, but they're sort of like, hey, we'll take a shot, see what happens. Second round was a big whoop. So that's what I would do.
Well, a lot of schools liked him. Texas and Bo Davis. I remember at the time when we were recruiting Isaia Faga, people were like, he's too small. I mean, he's not rated high enough. But those same people that were saying that loved Bo Davis, the former Alabama defensive line coach. I mean, these same people, they love Bo Davis universally. Who wanted to sign Faga at Texas? Bo Davis. I mean, Bo Davis wanted him. So, and heck, I think at Alabama he's done well. I've not heard one negative thing whatsoever. It's just a little more crowded than people think. There's really 2 interior defensive line positions. There's really only 2 because our third defensive lineman's a bandit, which is sort of an outside guy. But the 2 inside guys, it's Tim Keenan, it's James Smith. That Jeremiah Beeman now is in the picture. Edric Hill is in the picture. You just brought in the Steve Bomawa, we're going to talk about in the pronunciation show probably the next time around. But Bomawa is here now from Canada. He's going to play. So now when you're talking about the 5th defensive tackle, you're probably not talking about a guy who's going to play a ton of snaps when you're only playing 2 at a time.
All right, swerving off topic here for a second. In the Olympics, they're going to do flag football, the next Olympics. And they're going to let the NFL players play in it, which is, I mean, it's good. Whatever the dream team beat people by, this will be worse. At least some of these European countries were playing basketball, and at least they had some dudes. I just can't imagine anybody staying within 50 points of an NFL flag football team. It's going to be disgusting. And I'm going to just soak it up with a biscuit. I'm going to love it.
The only way it can happen, Luke, in terms of other teams being competitive with the U.S. team in flag football, is if they allow this, and they will, these descendants of people from other countries. Like, for instance, I'm just making this up, but let's say Devontae Adams has an uncle that was from, Cameroon. Now all of a sudden Cameroon has a wide receiver we're going to have a difficult time covering.
Yeah.
Yes. So there could be something like that where these NFL players are playing for other countries because they have relatives from there. That could even up the playing field a little bit. But I'm excited about it. I've been ignoring it until yesterday when it became official. But it is going to be fun if, for instance, the quarterbacks of the U.S. team playing for Team USA and our quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen on the same team, Mahomes and Allen, throwing to the best receivers in the world, literally, whoever we pick out amongst the throngs to be, the receivers on the team. And, of course, the DBs. Patrick, hey, there's going to be some Bammers out there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Okay, great.
That was my question. Okay, so considering this isn't for 3 years, and I know Justin Jefferson for the Vikings already come out and said, yeah, I'm dying to do this. Well, see, Justin Jefferson will be 28 then, I think. And he will still be great, I'm sure. But will he be, one of the best? And really, will he want to even play flag football then at 28 and go out there and risk, even tearing something up, whatever? But my first thought was like, what active Bammer right now would be the best flag football player at any position? And I think I came up with 3 potentials. Jalen Waddle.
Yes.
The reason I think him over Devontae Smith is because of the nature of flag football. And he's a little smaller and more nimble.
Physicality now has zero to do with it. It's all about
route running isn't even as important, I would think.
I think it's that make you miss ability.
Exactly.
Running through tackles is being replaced by the make you miss. Like, for instance, gosh knows we talk about him enough. Maybe the greatest flag football player of all time in terms of Alabama would have been David Palmer.
Oh, he'd have been impossible.
Who's getting your hand on that flag? But a Waddle is a Palmer-like a bit. So,
Pat Surtain.
I think Patrick Surtain is the most obvious Alabama guy to be on the team because –
Or Tua. And let me tell you why Tua. Because he's so accurate. It's not his escapability or anything, but, I mean, he'll be able to read, okay, because, see, the way it's set up, it may be I think it's going to be a 5-on-5 thing. And if it is 5-on-5, so you got a center, a quarterback, and then you got one defensive lineman, I take it. And so you got 4 DBs essentially and 3 receivers. And I think that Tua would be the guy to say, okay, the safety's cheating over. I know who to go to immediately. Or he looks like he's trying to fake me out one way and go, I know it's going to be open over here. I'm just saying I think Tua would be a good quarterback for this. Now, somebody else would say Lamar Jackson's the easy choice, and probably so, but there are probably going to be some rules in there about when you can take off and run, things like that.
It's going to be very rules-based as to who the most effective quarterbacks are. I'm just saying Mahomes and Josh Allen are the best quarterbacks in the league, but in part because there's some athleticism there too. I mean, if it's just going to be sit in the pocket and throw the ball and that's all there is, heck, maybe it is Tua. You also, height won't matter. It's not like you're seeing over some offensive line guys. It's just going to be about who Bryce Young is a guy that might be an extremely good flag football quarterback.
Yeah, 3 years from now. Yeah.
But if I had to name one Alabama guy you want to bet, okay, if there's one Alabama guy on this team, who's it going to be? To me, it's just Patrick Surtain. It's for sure.
Now, I'm going to say this, and then we're going to break, so I don't even want to hear an argument. My Bama guy be Ryan Williams. Because, see, he'll be in the league then.
And custom built for flag football.
Oh, he is. As good as he is at regular football, flag football, forget it. All right, so we'll run down some of these bat and ball sports. Bama will play Tennessee today, and it's been moved back because the A&M Mississippi State game has been moved up to this morning because last night Birmingham had some more weather. God knows we're getting pelted in Birmingham. I was out of town at my daughter's graduation, but I was getting texts like incessantly from Alabama Power and Charter, and they're like, your power's out. Can't do much about it. Talk to you later. They actually were much nicer than that, but you know what I mean. And there are trees down everywhere. It's bananas. And last night Birmingham got hit again, apparently, or at least the threat of it. I know we got hit here in Alex City. And so everything's been pushed back a little bit. And Alabama, instead of playing at 9:30, we're going to play probably roughly noonish, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
and,
1 o'clock, maybe even 1 o'clock.
Yeah. But I think that Alabama's got a good opportunity here. Look, Tennessee is not the same Tennessee as last year. They're still, I mean, player for player, they're better than we are. But
true.
I think we've got a shot here. I'm not going to pretend to know enough about baseball to give you any statistics or any analysis to back that up. I'm just thinking, I like the way we played yesterday. Justin LeBron made a play yesterday to throw somebody out at first that was just borderline ridiculous.
We can, we'll talk about it on some future show, if not today, but Justin LeBron definitely in the territory, in the conversation of greatest baseball player to ever play at Alabama. I mean, he's in that discussion. And as good as Tennessee is, I don't know that they have a Justin LeBron. I think the real interesting thing for people listening to the show, it's already been decided as we record this. I don't know the answer to this. That's why I'm asking, but I think the interesting thing for Alabama today, do they pitch with Riley? Do they pitch Riley quick on short rest? Riley started Saturday. This will be a 5th day, which is normal rest for a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. But these guys aren't on a 5-day, everyday rotation like in Major League Baseball. They actually pitch once a week, really 7 days between starts for these guys. Riley would be on 5 days. Yesterday, they did pitch Tyler Fay on 5 days, and he pitched really, really well. I think they will go with Riley quick today. It's just a little bit more of a risk with him because he had he didn't have Tommy John surgery, but he had something akin to Tommy John surgery a year ago. So you have to be a little more careful with Riley Quick, who also has first-round grades in the upcoming draft. And you don't want to do anything that's going to risk his arm because you're talking about a guy who's just a month or so away from potentially being a first-round pick in the Major League Draft. So are they going to start Riley Quick? My guess is yes, but you might not see Riley Quick for extended innings today. Maybe he starts and they just sort of have, okay, but you're only going 5 innings. But Riley would give Alabama their best chance in a game that, should Alabama win, they have an excellent case to be an NCAA regional host. That what could be on the line today, Alabama versus Tennessee. Winner gets to host, loser goes on the road. I don't think it's that simple, but Coach Vaughn is going to put that in his kids' heads that we're playing to host today. A lot on the line, considering it's just a second-round game in the SEC tournament. 2 very evenly matched teams. Tennessee has some championship DNA, though, coming off last season's national championship.
God,
yeah, it's a summer slump. Do you think it's the dog days of summer? Is that what it is?
It's too early. And I mean, I try so hard because, I get all these phone calls from, like, my dad will just call from the other office and be like, hey, did you do this? And I'm like, yeah, I did that 2 weeks ago. And he hangs up and I'm like, you just interrupted the whole podcast for that. But he doesn't know I'm on a podcast. So, I mean, anywho.
Does your dad know you do a podcast?
I think he and my mom know. They don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And they are freaked out. My kids are even a little freaked out. Like,
it was funny. Not technology people.
Well, my parents are freaked out because they don't understand technology. My mom wants to go backwards with phones. She wants to go back to rotary phones. That's what she understands. That's what she likes. And every time my dad gets a text, it's like he might as well just throw the phone in the lake. He doesn't understand. But my kids are freaked out the other way because I was in Ohio last weekend and somebody called me and said, hey, look, I don't know if you know who I am, but I just want to tell you I love the podcast. And he had got my number from a mutual friend. And I was happy to hear from him. But my kids were in the car and they were like, what is going on?
Has fans.
Yeah. I mean, they were like, they just thought it was sort of like, this is just something silly I did. And I'm like, they didn't know that it actually might be moderately kind of popular.
They didn't know that we get invites to things like the Met Gala now.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of weird to see, like, both generations above and below me are freaked out for very different reasons. But, and meanwhile, I'm just trying to keep up with technology and be, respectful of your voice so that I can just cut it down in case so my phone rings. I don't know. But regardless, I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about.
Alabama softball versus Oklahoma, as we have just 1 minute or so left on the show. Alabama versus Oklahoma, Friday, 4:00. Alabama decided underdog against the 4-time. How about the fact, just dawned on me, Alabama playing the defending national champions in baseball today. Alabama softball playing the defending national champions Friday.
Are we a decided underdog?
I would say a decided underdog. If it was in Tuscaloosa, I would say, hey, this should be pick 'em. At Oklahoma, I think decided underdog. And not just the defending national champs. The 4-time defending. They're trying for 5 national championships in a row, and they should be favored to do so. They're going to be very upset about the fact they lost 2 of 3 in Tuscaloosa. So they're not only playing to get in the World Series, they're playing for some revenge. And revenge isn't the thing they often talk about in Oklahoma because they win every time they play. So
they don't get a chance.
Sort of new to them. But hey, what gives us a chance? Jocelyn Brisky and Caitlin Riley. For Alabama to win against Oklahoma, we have to have unreal pitching performances from Jocelyn Brisky and Caitlin Riley. Brisky will no doubt get the ball on Friday.
Gonna be fun to watch. I'm sitting here being a Bama optimist that we win them both. Forget it. We win the whole SEC tournament, win the national championship, win it all.
We were underdogs in the Super Regionals last year at Knoxville and shocked Tennessee to get to the World Series, beating Tennessee in Knoxville. They did it a year ago.
Yep. Let's do it again. All right. That's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.